All right, now for more on this and as to what the visit of the Iranian president actually means in India, to discuss more on this, we are joined in by a panel of experts. We have in our studio Mr. Arun Singh, who's a former ambassador to the United States. And also we have in our studio Syed Mohammad Mirandi, who is a professor in the Tehran University and who's also a political analyst who will be joining us from Tehran, and Talmiz Ahmed, who is a former Indian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates, who is joining us presently in the studio. Thank you very much indeed to all the gentlemen. Ambassador Arun Singh, let me begin with you. This is an important visit. This is a visit where India is, of course, trying to balance several of its interests. Iran is crucial, considering the dependency that we have on the oil that we import from Iran. What is the significance of this visit? Hassan Rouhani, in his maiden visit since 2013, this is the first time that he's visiting India since he's become president. How crucial is this visit?
So I think the visit is important, and the relationship with Iran is important for several dimensions. There is a historical, civilizational dimension. But I would like to focus on two aspects.
Right.
One is, of course, the energy. We are not, I would not say we are dependent or excessively dependent on Iran for energy.
But it is one of the key nations from which we export oil.
It's an important source of energy imports, and the more options we have, the better it is for us. We are also looking at the possibility of investing in Iran in exploration of oil. So we have done initial investigation, and that aspect is being discussed.
Right.
So it is an important source of energy. Another important dimension to Iran is connectivity. I recall that way back on 20th November 2001, a week after the Taliban had fled Kabul, the Indian government had asked the Ministry of External Affairs to go and set up our embassy in Kabul. And we didn't want to tell Pakistan that we are going to overfly Pakistan and go to Kabul. So the only way to do it was to fly through Iran. So, and it just highlighted the fact that for connectivity to Afghanistan, Iran is a very important route. And that is why India is today working on the Chabahar port to develop it as an alternative way to reach Afghanistan, to reach Central Asia. And we have already sent some shipments of wheat. Among the first infrastructure projects that we had done in Afghanistan was the Zaranj-Dilaram road, a 300-kilometer road segment, which gave Afghanistan an alternative access to the sea through Iran, reducing its dependence on Pakistan. Also, Iran is an important source of transit and connectivity through the north-south corridor, reaching through the Caspian Sea to Russia, Eastern Europe, Caucasus and beyond. So I think if we just looked at the connectivity dimension and the energy dimension, Iran is an important partner, going beyond the historical, civilizational, the trade and economic. And it's a very important country in the Gulf, a very important Muslim country. And we have interests and concerns in the Gulf region, in the Organization of Islamic Conference. And therefore, through all this, the more relationships we can build in countries in the Gulf certainly suits our interests.
Absolutely, but Iran is a little more complicated. And also we are joined in by Mr. Talmiz Ahmed, who has been a former Indian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates as well. Mr. Ahmed, this is not as straightforward a relationship as we in India would want it to be, because the United States had been clamping down on Iran. There were sanctions that were put. However, India has somehow managed to wriggle itself a room where we can trade with Iran without affecting our relationship with the United States and Israel. How do you see this going forward in terms of the geostrategic interest which India has in the region?
Let us be very clear. All relationships are complex.
Right.
All relationships are part of processes where you have incremental developments. There is no zero-sum game in foreign affairs. We have relationships. We are a major power in world affairs. We have a multiplicity of relationships. So one relationship does not cancel out another.
Absolutely.
We have very important ties with Iran, and we will pursue those ties. The perceptions of other countries may be slightly different from us. For example, Iran, for example, Israel has certain other concerns, and the United States has a different agenda entirely.
Do you think India has been successful in balancing those concerns? Because the former president of Iran, he had said that we'll wipe Israel off the map. And this was also a time when India was trying to seek closer relations with Israel. And it was difficult at that point of time for us to actually balance the two at that point of time. We're talking of a period of 2007 till 2013.
See, be very clear here again. India has done extremely well because we have focused on the bilateral aspect of our engagement. We have not linked one relationship with our ties with some other country. So because we have focused on the bilateral and because we attach value to each of those relationships, we have been successful. And I think we will continue to be that. Yes, we have concerns relating to the situation as far as the region is concerned. There is a deterioration in ties with Saudi Arabia. And I have advocated for some time that there is space for us to do some behind-the-scenes diplomacy, not mediation, behind-the-scenes diplomacy to see how we can bridge the gap between these two major Islamic countries. But that is quite separate. As far as the substance of our ties is concerned, it is a bilateral and transactional engagement.
Absolutely, indeed. And meanwhile, we're also joined by Mr. Syed Mohammad Mirandi, who is a professor from Tehran University and also a political analyst who's joining us from Tehran. Mr. Mirandi, let me begin by asking you this. In Iran, according to a survey that's been done, it's being said that 71% of the Iranians view India very favorably. Now, how significant is the visit of Hassan Rouhani to India at this juncture?
I think it is very important. India is a country that Iran has had a very long and traditional relationship with. And as your previous guests have rightly pointed out, it is not simply just oil and energy, although Iran is arguably the richest country in the world when you have natural gas and oil combined. But beyond that, it's also, it provides access to India, to Central Asia, and to Afghanistan. But I would also like to point out another issue, that is that Iran is in the Persian Gulf region and arguably West Asia. It is the most important country that exists. And although the former Iranian president never said that Israel should be wiped off the face of the earth, that is an intentional mistranslation that the New York Times put out.
No, the president who has attributed that statement was your former president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. This was somewhere in 2008, 2009.
Yes, he never made that statement. What he said specifically was that Israel as an apartheid state should cease to exist. That is basically what he was saying. But I think in addition to the issue of energy and access is the fact that Iran, like India, and like Russia and China, have a very strong interest in preventing extremism from rising. The extremism that unfortunately we've seen regional countries promote through Wahhabism, and we've seen these extremist groups supported by the Israeli regime and by Western countries in this country. And I think, for example, in the case of Afghanistan, which is very important both to India and Iran and all the other countries in the region, preventing the spread of extremism there is important for the national security of all of our countries. So the issue of security, the issue of energy, the issue of trade, all of these come together. And of course, on top of it all, it's a civilizational relationship.